That's okay. So trying to think of things to talk about. Of course, it's kind of not hard. There's so many things. This is my sense of it. There's so many things that one could talk about related to the Buddha's teachings and the exploring life, using the Buddha's teachings to do that, using contemporary teachers to do that, who looked at the teachings too. Um, so, um, so what I was thinking about was back when I was a layman, what did I want the monks to talk about when they gave talks? Because I used to listen to a fair number, and I think I kind of overdid it. I don't know if anyone's the same. I don't actually listen to many Dhamma talks anymore. I may have over. I don't know if I binged, but I listened to a lot of talks when I was a layperson, and enjoyed them immensely. So what I wanted to talk about um, was more like, okay, what in my because not to draw too sharp a distinction, because I'm sure you all hopefully have a good amount of time for formal practice and doing retreats, and monks also get busy sometimes, especially when you're building a Dhamma hall. But um, I know when I was a layperson, I was like, yeah, I got a decent amount of practice in, but became very curious, really curious about the non-meditation sides of practice, because most of the time I wasn't sitting there meditating, and I couldn't. I had to work. I also had health issues, and I don't know if that's same for anyone else here. So one theme that I always liked hearing about is just good old generosity. It's I find it one of the most uplifting. Uh, just you can't really go wrong. It's like, when was the last time anyone read a story about someone being generous and you're like, boring? It's like, oh, that's nice. It feels good. Read it in the news, or someone tells you about it. You just can't really help it. And that's kind of the theme of what I want to talk about, is this kind of, you can't even really help it. You don't really have a choice. That I'm exaggerating maybe a bit, but I think there's a truth here. And I don't think it's a coincidence that when in the suttas you hear we have the suttas being the kind of what's remembered from what the Buddha taught himself and people around him and his disciples. And it's neat to think that probably, most likely, most of what he said we don't have a record of. So there'll be these great parts in the suttas where the Buddha's talking to someone, and then it says, and then he gave him a graduated talk on generosity, virtue, um, uh, the heavens, the dangers of, or the drawbacks of sensuality and meditation, and going up from there to the, what's next? Samadhi, and then Four Noble Truths. I think and I might be getting, I'm sure that's about what is being aimed at there. But the first one is generosity, and I always found this interesting. So if that list is, it could just be they're like, well, we have to put it somehow, so they just wrote it down or memorized it. But I don't think so. I think they were intentional about that. They put generosity in there first, because I think that's the sense you get is that's what the Buddha would have talked about first to a lot of lay people. And like generosity before virtue or morality, to say it in another way. So isn't that interesting? Like, great religious teacher, perhaps if perhaps the greatest ever. And the first thing he talks about isn't oh, don't kill anyone and don't steal and don't lie and all very good things. But the first thing he would talk about was generosity. Pretty interesting. And 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 if, you don't have to look far in other spiritual teachings or religious teachings to find generosity as a pride of place there as well. Um, and so it's kind of universally admired and respected. Um, and isn't that interesting? How many things, especially in our world today, oh, that might be culturally dependent, this thing or that thing. But as far as I know, because it's always interesting to see it pop up that religions, cultures all around the world, generosity in some form is highly, highly praised, and everyone respects it, and everyone enjoys it. Um, so that's just like the broad view of, wow, look at this. This is impressive. Um, there must be something to this. And then oh, I'll turn my lights back on. So like, okay, so what's the big deal? Why is this such a why is it this way? Why is it everywhere in the world respected and enjoyed? So you could just go on like the most immediate benefits. Like the Buddha was so practical, and sometimes, like he said, if those who are generous, given to, here's a good word. I think I hope I get this right. Munificence. Yeah, munificence. They're just love to give. They are confident when entering into any assembly, any group of people, any group of friends, any social situation. One who's practiced generosity a lot, it's like they just have a confidence and ease there. Isn't that neat? I mean, especially in a more just kind of day-to-day kind of look at life. That's a lot of life, meeting with various people, having friends, having relationships, and the Buddha praises it highly. Is that's a way to feel confident in any social situation. He also it helps them make friends. It's people who are very generous tend to have a lot of friends, or friends, people around them, enjoying their presence, their company. So those are just like very immediate. Here's a really immediate one. So here's a question for everyone: Have you ever given anything? Maybe you have, but have you ever given anything and not felt good about it? Just you can just drop that in. It's like impossible. You might have gone like, "Oh, I shouldn't have given that away. I really like that thing," or maybe that was the wrong thing to give to the wrong person at the wrong time, or something along those lines. But those almost seem secondary. There's still, in my experience, there's still something very uplifting and edifying, regardless. So for example, you might think back a time that you gave you gave someone food, like, is that is there anything negative around that memory, or is it mostly just, oh, that was nice. That was a nice, yeah, that's nice. I mean, it could even be your kids if you have kids, or anyone. I mean, making someone a cup of tea, it's like, that's a good feeling. It's good for you. It's nice to, if someone says, "Oh, would you like a cup of tea?" It's like, "Oh, well, thank you very much. Yes, I would." Right there, like, just happens. You didn't even try. It just magic, magic of the mind. You didn't will it. It's you didn't even have to really cultivate it. It just springs up all on its own. It's powerful, extremely powerful. So, and I think that's one reason why every culture realizes it's. I think, well, a lot of cultures, I don't know, realizes its wonderfulness. I mean, it also helps bind groups together and, um, all those things, but it's so obvious. Let's say it's undeniable, um, and then so that's kind of immediate, and to even be more immediate about it is, when you give something, there's so there's like, being generous is good because it's helpful. Like, it helps people, right? If there's a tsunami in Asia, that was, I guess, many years ago now. People, you know, give and they go there and they help, and we all know that's great. What a wonderful thing! Um, so uplifting, and so yeah, it's very kind of, we can all recognize it from a, well, from it's not just logical, but it's an emotional. Yeah, that's a good thing, and it feels good. And another thing I think is worth considering is that, the Buddha also talked a lot about, um, that, it's mentioned in the sutta that one kind of gives with one's own hand. So, with one's hands. Um, so, for example, the extreme. I'm exaggerating a bit here, but there's a story where, I think a king or a prince, yeah, he hears giving is good, so he tells, okay, I want my, whatever his people. Can you, set up an alms, kind of food giving thing? Give people some food every, maybe once a week, once every. They had a moon schedule, probably, and then people would come and give food, and they'd give the food to the monks, and then the king heard that, or prince, I think it was a prince, heard that, the monks. So I mean, it wasn't just for monks; it was for all people, but monks were taking it too, and the monks would go and bring it to someone else and give it to them, and then the person would give it back to them. And the king was heard that the prince was stumped, and he said, "Well, why is that happening?" And, I think he went to the Buddha, went to a monk, and, it was explained that, well, it was kind of, the people who were giving it, they had no real connection. It was just kind of next, next. They weren't really inspired by the monks, or even, from what I understand, inspired by giving to anyone, just, the people who could use it off the streets. And, the Buddha pointed out that, yeah, I mean, it was so uninspiring that the monks were kind of bringing it to other people who wanted to give them something, giving it to them, and they'd give it back. And this prince got the message. And, I don't know exactly, maybe he talked to his people or did it himself, but you can see the point of that. And, I was trying to think of why this is. So that's kind of extreme because the prince is and his people are not into it. But even if you're into it, let's say you really want to give something to someone. Here's my here's a scenario. So anybody here have a dog? A dog? Okay, Tanner's here would be very proud of you. He's a dog lover. Um, okay, so imagine you have a dog. So you come home. I don't know if you work, but you come home and the dog is like waiting for you, right? Wagging its tail and jumps up and you get to pet it. You know it's been kind of alone for a bit. You pet it and it's such a nice moment. Makes you happy. Dog's happy. You scratch it on the chin and pat it on the head and kind of follows you around. Really nice moment. Um, that's one of the great things about dogs is they're so affectionate and they just enjoy that. So now you have to travel. Here's the scenario, and you pay someone to look after the dog. Now you're assuming that they're giving the dog some scratches and some pats and some TLC, and you could be on your vacation. You think, oh, how's how's Spot doing? Oh yeah, he's getting. You could like dwell. Oh yeah, he's gonna get. That's a really nice person I left him with. He's doing fine, and kind of you can be happy about that, right? But will it feel the same as you doing it yourself, right? When you're there, it's like Spot. Oh, you get to scratch him on the chin and pet him on the head, and right. So there's a difference. Not they're both good. They're both good, but both good. But so this is kind of a kind of pointing. It seems to like yeah, generosity. Because you're giving him pats, so that's kind of the idea. You're giving the dog TLC. How do I put it? You can. It means more if you're there, right? Like it. It's just the way the mind works, and the Buddha. He kind of knew that, and what I'm kind of where this is leading to is that. Um, it sounds so self-interested, but it's like you can use it for your use it it can be a powerful force for your own practice, your own uh, encouragement and development of good qualities in yourself, so you can really learn it. It's like it's a skill. That's kind of what it's a powerful skill. And there's an interesting when in the suttas there's the word chaga. So chaga can mean let me just get my definition here. I wrote this down. Liberality, giving, munificence, and chaga also has a connotation of giving something up, letting something go. You might recognize the word letting go. That's how we translate a lot of Ajahn Chah's. Hear him say, "Oh, you have to learn how to let go," and that's like the penultimate thing. Sometimes, what's the point of Buddhism is to learn how to let go. I mean, I'm being a little shorthand about it, but I'm sure we've all heard the importance of letting go, learning how to release attachments, abandon craving. Chaga is also sometimes translated as abandonment. So Isn't that interesting? Uh, so not to take it, I mean, it's a word, and but what's interesting is how close they are in the mind world of whoever's was using these words, and that seems to point to something about how we practice. Is it's kind of like if generosity, to be a little short about it, is the beginning of the path, maybe the end of the path is related to the beginning, right? This learning to let go, learning how to relinquish, be munificent, generous, um, joyful. Kind of a generosity has this uncontainable joy about it. Uh, like I used to when I was a layman. Sometimes I had this experiment going. So for a while, every time I was in the supermarket, I put something in the they call it food bank bin. I think everyone's seen those. They're pretty great. Um, so almost always a food bank bin, been a big enough store, and you could just try to see if you can put something in the food bank bin and feel grumpy about it. Like a self challenge. Try it. It's like a dare. Try and not enjoy that experience. And I mean, you might not, won't make you ecstatic, likely, but it's a nice thing, and it feels good. And what's also interesting is the Buddha said uh, that it makes the mind straight. This is the translation I've heard. Makes the mind straight. So I'll just read. I have it here. Yeah, here we go. Okay. And this is the Buddha encouraging a really devoted lay practitioner in teaching him like how he can use recollection, use the power of thought and remembering for his practice. So he says, you know, a disciple recollects, brings to mind his own virtue, old word, but I possess, sorry, there we go. A disciple recollects his own generosity, thus. It is a gain for me. It is so well gained by me that in a world obsessed by the stain of stinginess, I dwell at home with a mind devoid of the stain of stinginess, freely generous, open-handed, delighting in relinquishment, one devoted to charity, delighting in giving and sharing. When a disciple recollects his own generosity like this, at that time his mind is not obsessed by lust, hatred, or delusion. His mind is straight, with generosity as its object. This is called a disciple who dwells evenly amidst an uneven world, who dwells unaffected amidst an unafflicted world, who has entered upon the stream of Dhamma and develops the recollection of generosity. So there's a lot in there, but I really like the it makes the mind straight part. And if you really, when you practice generosity, you can really feel it. It's so palatable. It's like, even if you had a grumpy day or bad day or whatever, a moment, being generous, it has this power that pulls to the mind, and the mind goes with it. So yeah, and it's so accessible. That's the thing. And it doesn't have to be big. Like you could make someone offer to make someone a cup of tea, or I don't know, give a kid a gumball, like or offer to do some small errand for someone who could really use it. Um, so basic. Because I guess one reason that it seems so important is when I know as a layperson, I often, yeah, there's kind of, I mean, as a monk too, I gotta meditate. That's where the real deal is. But I feel like it's true in a way. That's true ish. But what, like it was funny when we're meditating just then, you're watching your breath. Now, like the breath isn't what makes your, does the breath make you peaceful? Is the breath a magical thing? It's happening all the time. Why aren't you peaceful now? Like why haven't we all became enlightened? We're breathing all the time. So it's something about the fact that you're paying attention to the breath. And more to the point, it's about how you're paying attention to the breath and what you're bringing to the breath, how you're perceiving the breath. Um, so so it has a lot to do with what qualities are being cultivated or are already present in the mind. So generosity has this powerful force in the mind, and recollecting one's generosity. And this is where it's like, this is not selfish. Like, please, the Buddha, please use this. Bring up your own generosity, recollect it. Um, it can get you out of a bunch of sticky spots. If in today's world, people are, let's say, they're anxious or self-critical, it's a really useful tool. You can just bring it up and, oh yeah, I did that. That was really good. Hmm. Ah, already doubts, self-criticism just got knocked down. They're gone. It just kind of, it's not there. The mind's straight. It's in line with the truth. So it's really, yeah, using it, obviously cultivating it and cultivating, recollecting it, bringing it into your mind. And the thing is that you don't have to be cautious about it, or I'll just do it once a day. You can really go at this. This could be a important practice. You can really make this useful, because in the end, we, like, you think, oh, I really like, those things are nice, but if I could just get concentrated and wise, I'll really get it, or I'll understand those teachings. I'll get suffering, and sure, but it's like yeah, it's like there's two kinds of view. Basically, there's many. Like there's right view, right perspective. So obviously we're trying to get up to that really in wise perspective or view of dukkha, of stress, of what's causing trouble in our lives, of its cause, of its end, and the way that the path to the end of it. So that is the kind of crown jewel. Um, and there's also, the Buddha sometimes defines view as much more kind of, sometimes it's called mundane right view. It's like, and I'll read it, some brief parts of it. It's just the perspective or view that things are given, that there's what is given, there's what is offered, what's sacrificed, there's fruit of kind of the wholesome actions and unwholesome actions, karma, that we have a mother and we have a father. Uh, well, he does say too, there's this world and then the next. There's virtuous, we call it spiritual practitioners who have realized for themselves with direct knowledge. So some of that seems kind of, oh yeah. There's what's given, there's what's offered. We have a mom and a dad, sure, but it's a lot more than that. It's like giving is powerful. I'm going to be my transit. It's a powerful force. Receiving, offering things is a powerful force. Receiving things is powerful. Wholesome actions have powerful impacts in our minds, in our lives. Unwholesome actions, the same. So we have a mother and father. We're related. We only got here because of other people. Mother and father is like the abbreviated version, right? Like, where'd they get the food? Who raised them? It's kind of it's the broad view, and it's still it's in that view in itself won't. Yeah, you don't understand suffering, but I was kind of wondering. It's like I've wondered sometimes if people, if it's even oneself can consider, well, it's more like you graduate from one view to the next. It's like, oh yeah, there's this mundane kind of view of the world with this karma, and you try your best to be good and develop these wholesome things. And there's like realizing the Four Noble Truths, and that's like, so that other view is like, it was like the Tinker Toys, and now I've actually built something real, or it was it's kind of a nice way to operate, but really we're going for Four Noble Truths. We want to penetrate that. And I was thinking, well, maybe it's more, so you might realize that I'm involved in building projects, but I was thinking more like, I wonder if you could say that first view is a little more like, in terms of practice, it's like the foundation of a building. You put all this like this Dhamma hall. Okay, well, here I go. It's going to find its way in here. The Dhamma hall, they got a huge hole. They filled it with gravel, loads and loads of gravel, and packed it down, and it truckload after truckload after truckload, and packing and packing and packing, and putting in these foundation walls and getting them right, and making sure that's everything squared up, and putting in more gravel, pack. Like tons, earth moving, huge machines, amazing. And now you can't even see it. You don't even know it's there. But everything rests on that. Without that, the rest of it wouldn't have gone up. And it's so easy to forget about it. It's like, oh yeah. You don't even, if you think about a house, you don't even realize it's there, but every house you're living in now probably has many feet of itself under the ground. If you draw your house, think about your house, you never think about that bit. And it's supporting the whole thing. So that's kind of why I feel like the generosity, and also karma, and having confidence in developing wholesome mental states and actions and speech and all these things seems it's so foundational, because in the end it will come with you to the cushion. I think we all have seen that. Whatever you spend your day doing, your time doing, is what comes to you. It's right there. It's like in some ways it's even like, if you can imagine gears turning, pictures, one gear turns the next, and that one turns the next, and then that swings a hammer, which hits a ball and it rolls down and then it hits another gear and that rolls. It's like you've seen those neat sequences. This is even more solid than that. It's like it's unescapable. What we do is right there, and you're in there, and it's in there. So that's why, uh, and that's in a good way. I just uh, yeah, so it's in there, and that's why it's so great. It's like, oh wow. So uh, generosity, which is so easy in a lot of ways, doing something so small, um, saving the mosquito's life who's in your cabin or room, easy enough to just. But actually, if you think about it, all the kind of generousness of spirit that goes, all right, I'll get my little thing and I'll get the thing, and take you outside, okay, free you go. That actually has an effect on the mind, how you talk to people, all these things, of course. So that's why generosity just seems like it's like such a bonus. It's so easy, and it's so effective. And I don't think there's any I don't think there's any reason. One thing if you read back, the world the Buddha was living in, from what we can figure, and the people that he talked to, who talked to him and talked to each other, just like we do now. Um, and they gave each other nicknames and these things. And I might have to plug my computer in, but let me just check. So I think I might have to wrap it up soon. I'll get to the end and then plug it in. So back to the Buddha's time and the people around him. So his the people he said were his like main supporters, who were lay people. Not even supporters, disciples. Oh, that's a good question. Anyway, some of his best disciples were, one was Ananda Pindika, whose nickname he already had the nickname before he met the Buddha. That's an important distinction. He didn't get it because of that. And Ananda Pindika means one who delights in giving alms, basically. So before he was a Buddhist and all this stuff. And another was Lady Visakha. These people, from what we know, realized deep levels of freedom, and I don't think it's a coincidence. Yeah, it went all across the board. Monks we're encouraged to give. If you ever see monks visiting each other, you might not be here but when any senior monks ever come to Tisarana, they always bring gifts, whatever, like things they've been given, and they kind of pick some of the best ones, or someone asks them what they could, and then they give it to the next, to their friend monk. And same thing, monks go visit, they just, okay, I'm gonna give this. And I met one monk who, he'd been doing this so much, he just, he had a lot to give. And every time we went somewhere, I spent about a month and a half living in a cabin not so far from him. Every time we went somewhere, he had something. And I was really impressed, really impressed. And it definitely had all the effects that the Buddha talked about. He was always well received. Everyone, you always have a smile on your face when you think of this monk, or I do. And that's one reason. So that's why it's a real feel-good one. But it's like very powerful. This is hardcore practice. This is not just the really easy bit. It's a lifetime of learning, and something worth putting a lot of effort into, and kind of interest as a tool for practice. Okay, so my computer's about to go to sleep, so that is the talk.